Hello, friends. It's time for Talk for Dodge, the show that uncovers the stories behind the houses in the heart of our community. I'm Jeremiahjcondon.
And I'm Todd McCubbin, and today we are here with Brian Bidleman from the Beacon of Hope. But before we introduce him, let's do a quick market update and some facts.
Market update is, it's crazy out there. It is almost like a decline, but it's the same numbers as last year.
Yep.
Everything's just kind of even, which is almost the same as 2023. 2024 carried over, 2025. We're just kind of at this like 2.5 year standstill. But the good news is we're busy.
Yeah, it's not even a standstill. It's just a level. It leveled off.
Yep.
And you know what? That's fine. We're not seeing the growth in more houses sold as a market, but we're not seeing a decline either. So I'll take it.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. Our market's good. You know, you want to put it on a level, whatever. We're good.
Yep.
I don't know what the level is, but we're good.
We got this.
All right. Because we have Brian here with us today, I got some homeless facts that I thought, and you can tell me what you think about some of these. There's a strong correlation between high housing cost and homelessness. High rental prices and limited housing supply is given area are key drivers to homelessness. That's kind of common sense, but
you can't afford a home. You lose your job. All of a sudden, whatever happens, houses get more expensive, taxes go up on a fixed income. I mean, there's a lot of reasons that can cause that.
Yep. Two things I can give you. 65% of the United States says they're 2 paychecks away from being homeless.
Wow.
And the other thing is the highest percentage of growth in homelessness is women and children, and the highest reason is that housing cost.
Wow.
That's crazy. I didn't realize it was that high.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. That is crazy. Here's another fact, which I really like this one. The housing first approach, which prioritizes providing permanent housing to people experiencing homelessness, is a proven solution. Studies show that roughly 9 out of 10 people remain housed a year after receiving housing first assistance.
No.
And it's funny because when I read like real estate stuff from a national level, and we have clients that read that and they're like, yeah, but this is how it is. And we're like, no. Like exactly what you just said. No.
California tried it. They started it about 40 years ago, and their homelessness numbers have skyrocketed, especially in the last 5 to 10 years. But and they're big on housing first. But when you have other issues that caused your homelessness, just having a house isn't going to help you. But it will take you off the government numbers.
Okay.
Oh, so there's your 9 out of 10 help the government numbers.
Right.
Yeah.
So that might lead into the next one. Addressing chronic homelessness through supportive housing can be surprisingly cost effective. One study estimated that it cost taxpayers an average of $35,500 per year for a chronically homeless person. That cost is reduced by nearly 50% when placed in supportive housing.
No.
We should probably leave the rest of these alone.
Actually, that's not even logical because you're not spending $35,000 a year on a homeless person. However, chronic homelessness, 65%. So when you see people living on the street and you've seen them for a long period of time, that's how they choose to live.
Okay.
And the majority of the people on the street, so again, 65%, that's how they choose to live, right?
Okay.
Affordable housing, if you, again, use the California model, they have spent hundreds of millions of dollars, and they still have an increase in homelessness year after year, and it's faster moving than anywhere else in the country.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
The last one that I have has to do with real estate. Report highlighted that vacant homes in the United States actually outnumbered the homeless population several times over. This suggests that wealthy investors parking money in real estate and keeping homes vacant contributes to the housing crisis and homelessness. That just shocked me that there's so many empty houses.
I don't think that's right either. I think you need to check that one. Let's plug that into ChatGPT and see which ones are right and wrong.
Those are off of the NAR website.
Really?
I'll have to leave that last one to you guys because that, not being a real estate investor, I have no idea. But I can tell you the lowest percentage of homelessness in the United States for a major city is Houston, And the reason that it's the lowest is because they changed their zoning laws. So they build much smaller houses, 500-600 square feet. They're much more affordable. Families, moms with children can get into those homes a lot less expensively. So instead of going the more expensive house to try and get everybody to move up, they just built a lot of houses that were very affordable for people. And they currently, again, have the lowest percentage of homelessness for any city in the United States.
Reminds
That's
me of all
awesome.
those little houses on the south side and over by the
Exactly.
hospital where they built them, the 500-600 square feet. They seem small, but they're affordable.
Well,
I mean,
and
even now they're affordable.
it's not a new concept. It's, we had row houses after World War II.
Yep.
The government built a lot of houses, small houses, affordable houses, so people could have a home of their own after they came home from the war. So it's not a new idea, and it's worked in the past. So no reason why it wouldn't work here too.
That's true. And it's not something you're giving to them. It's not housing first. This is so you can afford a house, making $10, $15, $18 an hour.
Right.
Well, when
with
you said
kids.
so many people are only 2 paychecks away. That's scary.
65%. It's a tremendous number. I mean, it's not only is it mind-boggling, but it's scary is a really good word to use for that.
Wow. Well, let's start into the rest of the good questions. We've already started. So, Brian, I'm going to let you introduce yourself. I've known Brian for years,
Sure.
long before he was at the Beacon. So tell us about
Sure.
yourself and kind of your journey.
Okay, so my wife and I have been here actually this week 35 years. So we are transplants technically, but we've had over the 35 years. My wife had a great career with Fort Dodge Animal Health, and then now she works for the college for Iowa Central in their economic development department. So we've had multiple opportunities, especially working at the labs, to transfer and to move. And every time we've just sat and looked at each other and say, no, we like it here.
Yep.
We want to stay here. So, yeah, so we ended up here on a whim. I got transferred here with the job that I had at the time, literally 13 days before my wedding.
Wow.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And it was an overnight transfer. So at 10 o'clock in the morning on a Monday, I was told that I was going to start in Fort Dodge at 8 o'clock the next day.
Where did you come from?
Mason City.
Okay. So, yeah.
I'm not from Mason City, but that's where I was at the time.
Okay.
So, yeah. Yeah, so we've been here for 35 years, 2 kids, raised them in the Fort Dodge school system. Certainly nothing bad to say. And we love where we live. And we're fans of Fort Dodge.
Yep. Well, so are we. And that's why we do this. And that's why we have you on.
So are your kids still here in Fort Dodge?
No, unfortunately, Mom's trying, but it's not working. I have a daughter that lives in Chicago, and her and her husband, she's been married for 4 years. Her and her husband are both in full-time ministry. He's a project manager and a film and sound editor for a ministry that goes all over the world, translating the Bible in different, not only music languages, but music forms. And then she works as a mentor to the mentors in an inner city youth program. So it's like a Christian-based big brothers and big sisters. So they focus on mentors, and it's her job to recruit and hire those mentors and send them out in the field.
Wow.
Knowing her a little bit, that just sounds like it fits her really well.
That is her deal.
I haven't met her husband yet, but I've known
that
her
is
for years.
deal. Chicago is just barely big enough for her. So, and then the other one's in Cedar Rapids and been married a little over a year and studying she's going to school to be a teacher, and she's working for the Linn-Mar School District as a teaching assistant while she does that. So, yeah.
That's awesome. It sounds like their passions, and that's what they want to do. So.
They're both working with the same age kids.
Oh.
Even though they're polar opposites for people, they're both working with children. So, yeah.
That's cool.
That's wonderful.
Well, they're making a difference, and I think that's what we all want to do in this world.
Right.
So, talking about your early roles, when I first met you, it was a music promoter trying to book concerts 15 years ago.
Right.
And then getting to know you a little bit, you talked a lot about the Christian Motorcycle Association and several other places, the vending thing and all that. Mm-hmm. How have all those roles led you to be the director of a homeless shelter? So,
being a person of faith, what I would tell you there is it's just very simple that God was involved in all of it. I was we call it a concert producer because I'm not the guy that had the money. I'm the guy that spent the money, which you well know.
I learned that lesson.
Yeah, so it was my job to organize not only the music, the entertainment, but then all the staging and lighting and sound and those kind of things. And that was just a passion I had from a very young age, and I did it for 31 years. And last year I finally just said no more. I was down to 2 shows a year and left it. But that's not really how did I end up at the homeless shelter. It's and we'll talk a little bit more about this because of the vision and the future of the Beacon of Hope. But one of the big things that draws me to what I do at the Beacon is because I've been exactly where those guys have been. I've suffered from drug and alcohol addiction, which I've been clean for 22 years.
Congratulations.
And both of my other 2 management staff are the same way, one with 33 years even,
wow,
and the other one was just at 20. So,
Yeah.
We've
great.
all 3 been on the street. So we, it's a passion of ours to be able to work with these guys. As far as all those different experience pieces, I was a decision maker and the head of advertising and marketing for Shopper Supply for 11 years. I worked for Oberg Freight as a decision maker and basically did several things throughout the company. And they gave me a refined set of skills when it came to checking payroll, checking payables, making sure, the door wasn't left open so that we spent too much money on air conditioning. And, they refined that. And then, of course, owning a business for 8 years. Those were business things. But that's not the passion. The business thing is required. You can't run a shelter without having bringing some business experience to it. But we've spent the last 16 years because of my history. I also grew up on motorcycles, spent a lot of time in what we would call the secular motorcycle world, in a lot of dark places. And that makes me not afraid to go minister to people that are on the street, that are on motorcycles. We took my oldest daughter the first time she went to Sturgis and ministered to people on the street, shared Jesus with them on the street. She was 15 years old.
Oh, wow.
So that's our passion. That's what we want to do. That's why we feel like we exist. So a lot of history that I went through, and then a lot of history that I have. So the street ministry with the business, you put those together, and it so far it seems to be making for a good director.
Perfect.
Wow.
Well, I'm not there all the time, but I would agree. It makes for a great director.
Oh, well, I appreciate that very much.
You talked about substance abuse.
Yeah.
That has to be a huge part of the reason why people end up homeless or, at the Beacon.
Right.
What percentage is that? Is there, you said 65% choose to be homeless.
Right.
But of that, what percentage is the decision because the readily available drugs and alcohol and the stuff that go into that?
So the overall number, if you were to, we feed into a much larger organization nationally, just like your Fort Dodge Greater Growth Alliance. We feed into a national organization called Citygate Network, and there's 320 shelters that participate in that, and our numbers are the same as theirs. 80% of the guys that walk through my door suffer either from an addiction, whether it's drugs or alcohol, and there's other addictions, but they're a little bit different,
Right.
Sometimes relationships, sometimes other things, but 80% of the guys who walk through my door, they either suffer from addiction or mental health. 80% of those suffer from both.
Okay.
Yep. And that's across the country. That's really the way it is.
So you start to treat those to hopefully get them to where they're not in the shelter. They can work their way out, and they can go through that system to.
Yeah, it's broken down in levels because when they first come in, it's, they just want to get off the street. They're nervous. They don't know what to think. I'm in a shelter. I can't be safe. And this is the same speech I give everybody. So, if you've been to the Rotary Club, you can, I'm going to say the same thing I always say is when they come in, they're scared because they And they're pretty hyper because if you're raised in Western culture, you think, oh my gosh, I'm a man and I'm in a homeless shelter and I don't have a job. I have to get a job. I have to get a place to live. I have to get out of the homeless shelter. And we always say, slow down, hold on. Let's figure out what got you here. And then the first answer is, well, you know, I lost my job, or my girlfriend kicked me out, or my wife divorced me, or, you know, I just can't seem to get it together. Then we get either to the addiction or the mental health, and that usually surfaces pretty quickly. But then we try to get to the next place, which is why the addiction. You know, what's going on in your mind that started you on that path? And with the mental health, the same way. We're adamant. You know, if you come into my place and you exhibit behavior that we've seen before for mental health, we're going to march you over to community health and say, you need an evaluation and you need to be honest with these people.
Right.
And let's get started. Yeah, exactly. Same way with addiction. And so then we can start actually diving into what's really going on.
Well, that's going to be my next question, is like programs that you have. So you work closely with community health and they'll help out financially, boy. You know, because I just think everything costs money. Right.
And we're facing a flood of problems that way. Up until now, we can walk a block away and go to community health. They're tremendous. They have a full array of services there, and they do a great job with our guys. You know, Berry Hill also is a big factor, but they're not close. And most of the guys don't, you know, they don't have transportation. No. You know, they're on foot or they're on a bicycle, or we take them, which we do a lot of. You know, we shuttle a lot of guys to appointments and work and, you know, all kinds of things. But community health has been a tremendous partner, you know, because they've accepted us with open arms. They know us. What we're facing, though, is Medicaid cuts that are coming, and preparation's been happening already. Is the problem with the Medicaid cuts is there's a bunch of people that are in the middle. And by that I mean maybe I have a guy that's probably he's going to lose his benefits, his medical benefits, which means he's going to lose his medicine and his therapy visits. That's not a good thing.
No.
And he's in a place where he can work. He works for us for about 20 hours a week. It's very casual. It's sweat equity work, so it's good for his brain, you know, because work is good for you. And he does fine. Any more than that, his anxiety goes up so high he can't even hardly move, you know. So what's happened is he does not yet have his disability benefits, and he'll be productive and he'll give back. He does now. You know, he's been volunteering with us for almost 2 years, and he's a great employee now. Does a great job. He's always willing to help and do extra. But when he loses those benefits, that medicine's going away.
Yeah,
and it's
tough.
Not a good thing for him. And there's several of them like that.
Wow, that's going to make it really, really hard for that entire population.
Exactly. It's going to,
because you're just talking about one or two people, and then
1 or 2 out of 40. So I mean, all of a sudden you take the entire homeless population and say 20% of them,
right,
or 10% are going to lose this. And
I would easily go 20%. I can count 20% of guys right now.
Wow.
Just by going, you know, they're all assigned a place in the dining room. I can go around the room and tell you which guys are going to be in trouble, you know. So
that's sad.
So we'll have to work through it, and hopefully we find something to fill that gap.
When it shakes it out, it will. And they're, you know, people are resilient. When you're a medical worker, you know, or a human services worker, they tend to be very flexible, you know, and move from side to side. So they're working on stuff already. So hopefully.
Awesome. So you've been the director a little over 2 years, and you transferred from Steve Rowe to you.
Right.
Steve Rowe started it.
Yep.
What was that transition like? And what kind of, was there issues you faced, or just different name, different?
Whirlwind, absolute whirlwind. I was hired. I started March 1st of 2022, and the objective was I was going to replace the chaplain about 6 months down the road, and when he retired, and I would work under Steve for 2 or 3 years, and then become the director. That's a great plan. It's a good succession plan.
That is a good plan.
Except about the 15th of June, the the chaplain abruptly decided to leave, and his wife went with him, and she was basically the gatekeeper. She was doing all the payables, all the receivables, all the receipts, all the thank yous, all the office work, everything.
Yep.
Payroll, you name it. And one day they were there, and the next day they weren't. So, and at the same time, Steve was diagnosed with leukemia. So his work became less and less and less, and he would give me little tidbits, and we just ran with it. And by the end of July, we went from 5 people on staff, management staff, to 2. Huh. And we spent that for a year. And fortunately, my wife is a numbers whiz as far as budgeting and accounting and that kind of thing. So for her to come in and do payables and receivables and to do, send receipts and thank yous and keep up with all that stuff, she was doing that after work. And then my intake manager, Chad's been with us for 14 years out of the 15. So he knows the drill. He knows the guys. He knows if a guy comes back that was a big problem before, he'll recognize him right away. So Chad and I just put our heads down and ran for it. And we did it like that for a year until we were fully staffed again.
That's tough.
Yeah, it was a wild time. It's hard to remember a lot of it.
You get that busy, you're just like, what did we do? And how did we do it?
Yep.
And how many, you have 3 staff now?
Yeah, so 3 full-time. Well, let me rephrase that. I have 3 management staff on the shelter side that are full-time. Okay. Myself, my intake manager, and the chaplain. And the chaplain also oversees the kitchen operations, which sounds like a funny marriage there, but he's good at it, and he did it before. So, but then we have 2 full-time guys at our store. So the Second Chance Thrift Store's got a full-time manager and a full-time warehouse manager. But we actually employ 20 people, and 14 of those are either current or former guests. Okay. So we have that. That's kind of a back-to-work program.
So they understand, go to work at 8 every morning,
right.
Do what you got to do, follow orders.
Yep.
And stuff most people know how to do anyways. But if you haven't done it for a while, or if you haven't, it's a learned skill.
Right. And for a guy, if he's been on the street for several years, what happens is he kind of forgets how to live by a schedule, which helps. We have boundaries and we have a schedule every day that they have to adhere to, that keep them kind of motivated to do the next thing. And, they know the drill, but getting them back to work, we start with a few hours a week just volunteering, and then they work their way up from there.
It's not a fast process.
No, and we don't want it to be. No. We don't want it to be, because a fast process creates stress. It's very simple. Anybody that's got children, just try to hurry them in the morning and see how it gets. Yeah. So it's the same concept. So we try to take our time. Yeah.
That's good.
You guys have helped me out a number of times when it comes to real estate. People that have a whole bunch of stuff in their house and they don't know what to do with it. I know they've called you and asked you to come, and every one of them have been happy. Do you guys still do that?
Absolutely. I'm really glad you brought that up. We have a tremendous reputation when it comes to our guys going out and doing day jobs, plus the fact, so they do yard work, they help people move, they paint I got a guy that's going to paint the interior of a house next week. They called us, and 2 other guys are actually going to build a porch for her, and wow. That's basically a set of steps, but still, all the way to raking leaves. Right, but what you're referring to specifically is we are the Second Chance Vintage and Thrift is a store that we do more furniture than anybody else does as far as a thrift store. You can go to a vintage store and pay twice as much, but everything in our store is still thrift store prices. And yes, we still pick up furniture, whether it's one piece or a whole house. And we're also the only ones that deliver. So you can come into the store and buy furniture, and then we'll deliver it for you.
Oh, wow. Cool. I didn't know you did that.
Yep. My truck is very busy.
I bet it is. I saw it leaving this morning when I was driving downtown.
Good.
You have made a lot of my clients very happy. They take over an estate or something, and you maybe call one of those other companies to come sell half of it, but a lot of the times it's just not worth a lot,
Right.
But it's not garbage.
Right.
And it's like, well, what do we do with it? Yep. And they don't want to do anything else because they live in California and they're coming back on the weekends. It's like, well, call Beacon of Hope and just see. And then all of a sudden they call me back and it's like, oh my gosh, everything's going to be gone next week. You know, like, do I call a cleaning lady or whatever afterwards? And from my experience, I think you guys even clean up after yourselves pretty good. Like,
yeah, they do. They do. The guys are well aware that, you know, we run a homeless shelter, so we don't always get the best rap, you know. So it's our objective anytime we go anywhere to do anything is to do the best job we can. Doesn't mean that people don't mess up once in a while, but it's our objective to make sure that they, you know, they do what they need to do. And we've had a very good track record that way.
That's great.
I've heard good things too.
Yeah.
So we've talked a lot about faith between the Christian Motorcycle Association, why you got into this, passion, your family is involved in that. So how does your spiritual journey shape your day-to-day operations at the shelter?
Absolutely everything. Absolutely everything. If I did not have my faith, and we are, you know, we're a Christian shelter, so we're based on the principles of Christ, you know, and the love of Christ is what we want to share with those men. And we want them to see that that's what's going to bring them back. And we don't just deal with that you're just dealing with matters of the heart or trying to get their head straight. No, if you look at the west side of my building, we jumped into the mural game here and last summer put up, and it says body, mind, spirit, restoration. Well, the only way you're going to be restored in our minds from our faith is being restored through Christ. And if it had not been from my own faith, there's no way that I could carry that on to other people.
No.
You know, so I've experienced it and lived it in my own life. The rest of my staff have experienced it and lived through it in their own life. So we are able to, not only are we able to identify with where they're at, we can show them where they can go.
Right.
You know.
I read somewhere that you have a project called the Hope Project.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about that?
Sure. It's Hope for Opportunity and Personal Excellence. I came up with that. We had to make some adjustments. Most shelters around the country, they call them program. So we like to call ours project. And basically it's a group of guys that want to go deeper in their faith. They want to go deeper in their responsibility. They want to go deeper in the Bible, learning more. So they go to class twice a week, and my chaplain runs that. Currently, they're working on a book called Boundaries, and they're learning that boundaries are actually a positive thing in your life, not a negative thing. You know, it's not just a bunch of rules that you have to live by, because if you do that, you end up breaking them.
Right.
I mean, we're human. That's what we do. You know, the Bible's not afraid to talk about the fact that we like to break the rules. You know, I like to break the rules. You know, I get in trouble at home all the time.
Yeah.
You know, but the reality is, the Hope Project is about that. And all of those guys, there's probably 8 or 9 of them, which is a really big group compared to having, 40 guys in the building. That's a lot of guys that really want to go deeper, want to do more, and they're handpicked. We watch them first to make sure that they're doing the things that they're supposed to be doing, and they show interest in growing and learning, and so that's what that's about. And a lot of times we start them on that back to work program, and I think right now the only guy that isn't working is the poor fellow's got rheumatoid arthritis in his hands so bad he can't even write with a pencil.
Oh,
so he's on disability, working up to where he could move out on his own, and but we still tell him, don't hurry.
Yeah, take your time.
Exactly. We want him to build up a little money, build up a little more confidence. That's one of the biggest things. Money's great, but if you don't have any confidence, so we work on that.
You have to know that you can do it month in, month out, and do it
day
again.
Minute in, minute out,
Yep.
day in, day out.
Yep.
Yeah, it starts.
So the Hope Project, they end up becoming leaders within the shelter.
Okay.
So
awesome. So the Beacon is 100% privately funded, and that's unlike most shelters, or is it half and half, or how does that mix work?
No, the Beacon is 100% self-funded. We are privately funded. Predominantly, this is the way it goes. Private donations are the most in a year. Secondary would be churches. Third would be organizations. And fourth right now would be grants, private grants from private organizations, whether it be businesses, corporations, people, estates, that kind of thing. So that's slowly growing, and that's an area that we need to grow in. So we're working on that. But it's always been that way. We don't get any money from the government whatsoever to run the operation at all. And the reason that we do that is because we can't share our faith in Jesus with those men and keep it the way we need to keep it. If we start taking government money, there's a lot of rules that come with that. There's a lot of people that are proud of us for that, but it's not easy.
No, it can't be easy. I mean, you're supporting 18 people.
Yeah.
Plus 40 people in there, but as far as jobs, you're giving people jobs, you're giving people...
20 people that we employ. Last year, our average was 39 guys. So that was, it's a big expense, and it's way bigger than people realize, but it's working, it's working. And Steve left it in a good spot financially. And when he left, people ask all the time, by the way, that how he's doing. He's in Florida enjoying himself. He's got a little acreage and horses and dogs and cats and chickens, and that's kind of his respite. So he's doing well.
Yeah, I talked to his daughter the other day about him, and I've been working with her, and it's been she says he's doing really well. And then Debbie and she's Debbie, there too.
Yeah, Debbie's here quite a bit actually.
Yeah, she hasn't been back to Florida for a whole while.
No. When you got great grandkids here, it's kind of hard to leave.
Well, they're all great.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know that yet. I'm sorry.
I'm just telling you. Yeah. You'll figure it out one of these days. They're all great. How can somebody contribute? If somebody wanted to say, hey, look, how can I help? Financially or time, what can people do and where can they find out?
Is it rude to say a big fat check?
That would help. No.
Okay. No. I'm just checking. No, actually, finances are always the largest challenge, right? Finances are always the largest challenge. And I wanted to share something with you briefly. You said maybe not even half the shelters in the country are like that. And that's actually not the case. 75% of the shelters in the United States, 75% are private funded Christian shelters.
Wow.
So
that says a lot for the church. That says a lot for people's passions,
right?
As far as changing things, because I would have think it would have been the opposite.
Yep.
When you think in your head, you're like, they're mostly government shelters. There's probably 10% are private, so 75% are private.
75%. We like to say, we feel that we're the last line of defense. From us, they go to the street. They come to the street. They come from the street a lot too, but 75% in the United States. So funding is very important. Money is very important. But one of the reasons the store exists is so that people that say, well, I don't have a lot of cash, or I give a little cash, but hey, what can I donate this stuff? And that's become a big thing for shelters across the United States. And the intrinsic value of our store is this. People have a way to donate that they wouldn't have if we weren't there. It gives people on the street sometimes fun. One of your colleagues yesterday just came in and his daughter bought a piece of furniture, and he did not know that we delivered. So
he does now.
He does now. But it gives people an opportunity to save some money, maybe find a treasure. Sometimes that's fun, to go in and just look. And the best part about a thrift store or a vintage store like ours is the inventory changes over by every couple of weeks.
Right.
So it's not like you go into a major department store. It's the same inventory for a whole 6 months.
Yeah.
With us, it changes every 2 weeks.
And you don't even know what you got sometimes.
No.
You have no idea what's going to be.
No idea what's coming in.
If you saw my warehouse right now, it's as tall as I am clothing-wise all the way across the room.
Well, I have to tell you a quick story. I hit the jackpot at your place.
Did you?
Because we always play tricks on our friends.
Yeah.
And I was looking up what's my next trick going to be. We went to stay the night over in Des Moines and put up a whole bunch of scary dolls across their whole room. And it's like, where am I going to find all these dolls?
Yeah.
Well, you have a lot of them.
Yes. Yes.
It was the jackpot. And I don't know how much I spent, but I spent a lot because I bought a whole bunch of these dolls and put them all over the room. And it was hilarious. It was really
Thank you
good. Yep.
for getting rid of those dolls, because I don't go in the doll room. The doll room freaks me out.
I would go.
I'm just saying. I'm not. I don't like that place. But Mom and Grandma collected a lot of dolls, and so we get on these estate cleanouts. We get a lot of dolls, and you can come and buy more anytime you want.
Anytime.
So the last thing about the store that's important to know, and this is something most people don't know. Last year, we gave out 309 clothing vouchers to the community, right, for people that needed clothing. That equates in, there's a pricing level that you can put, a value you can put on a full set of clothes. So it's 3 days full of clothes. Okay. Mm-hmm. Last year, we gave $14,000 away in clothing to our community.
Wow. People that really, really need it.
Exactly. And people don't even know that fact. It's a whole other thing that the Beacon of Hope provides for the community that people don't even realize.
I had no idea you did that.
Yeah.
Absolutely none. That's cool.
I mean, just think about that. Getting a nice pair of jeans and a nice collared shirt. It's like, that can really change your confidence.
Absolutely.
It just kind of builds you up just a little bit.
Yeah. A real nice pair of shoes or just anything like that. It does. It definitely builds you up. And it's not uncommon to walk in there and find something with tags on it, brand new. It's not uncommon to walk in there and pay, I don't know what our jeans are priced at today, probably $5 or $6. And maybe you'll find a pair of nice Levi's hanging on that hanger and you're paying $5, $6, $7 for them. And they're a $50, $60, $70 pair of jeans.
Yeah. You're going to pay.
Happens all the time. Yeah. Yeah.
So can you share, do you have a story you can share of a success story?
Yeah. And the reason I hesitated is because even though, just like treatment centers, a lot of the men go back to their old behaviors. We try, and they want to stay where they're at, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. It doesn't always happen that way. And unfortunately, in the majority, it doesn't matter where you're at in the country. It's not that the Beacon of Hope isn't keeping up. The majority of the country, if you get 20% of the guys actually go out and make a huge change, you're doing good.
Right.
But I like I just said, I've got 8 or 9 guys in that program right now. Guys that came to us. I have a gentleman that he's featured in my summer newsletter. So if you want to know more about him, call the shelter and I'll get you a summer newsletter if you're not already a donor, because then you would have gotten the summer newsletter already. So, and he's from Fort Dodge. He got out of high school, went to school for EMS. He, unfortunately, some of his family decided they wanted to move to Independence, Iowa, and he moved with them. It went okay for a while, but he lost his job. And his family, they lost their job, and they were stuck. No money, no place, now they're in Independence, and there's not a lot of family there. So they had to move back here. And I found him sitting on my step one morning, just sitting there, and he's in his mid-20s, and scared to death. Didn't know what to think. The rest of his family was gone. And not around, and he pretty rough upbringing at the same time. And we brought him in, we sat him down. He didn't say a lot for probably 6 months, but he's been with us for right at a year, little over a year actually. He is my number one guy overnights. He does 4 overnights a week for us, which is a very important position because that's when we do all the laundry, and that's, he's got to keep the building secure, so he's got a lot more confidence. He's got a lot of, he can talk now. He's not afraid to share. He's not afraid to stand up for himself. And these are all things, and we talk about, hey, when do you think it's time for you to move on? You know, we don't shove people out. When do you think it's time? Well, I know it's going to come. It's not there yet. And we would agree with him. He's not ready yet. But he's become a very valuable person to our operation, and his life's changing, you know. So that would be one. The short version of another one that I tell all the time is my pal Terry. We really should not have taken Terry in. Terry had just suffered a stroke, was using a walker, had type 1 diabetes, was in his late 60s, terrible health. And the short version of the story is that Terry was constantly going and using his disability to buy the guys snacks and food. And we're telling him, don't do that. That's not, you know, the guys are going to take advantage of you, you know, those kind of things. Because, you know, a shelter's no different than the rest of the world. If somebody's going to pay for it, you're going to take it, you know. And don't do that. But he was just having a ball. But he drove me crazy. He was so excited all the time. And he had been there for 2 weeks. You know, hey, can we do a cookout? Hey, can we do this? Hey, what about this? And hey, can I do that? You know, and he drove me nuts. But everybody loved him. And he come to me on a Friday afternoon. He had been with us for a little over 2 weeks, about 2.5 weeks, and came to us on a Friday afternoon. And he said, can I talk to you? And I said, sure. And he had been to the doctor that day, and the doctor said, he said, Terry, you're not going to live maybe 2 years. And he was pretty upset, obviously. And he sat across the table from me, and we talked for quite a bit of time. And he said, I'm not gonna believe what the doctor said. I'm gonna do the right thing. And you know, I said, well, it probably starts with stop buying candy and chips every day. You know, that would help. And we had a big laugh. And then he got up to leave, and he stopped, and he looked at me, and he said, this is exactly what he said. He said, thank you for letting me stay here. See, several other shelters had turned him down because of his physical health. Thank you for letting me stay here. This has been the best 2 weeks of my entire life. I finally feel like I belong.
Wow.
Terry died the next night.
Oh, geez.
Some people would say that's not a success story. In my mind, that is definitely a success story.
That is a success story.
Yeah.
He was happy.
He was very happy.
Wow, that's crazy.
More and more of these shows, I'm getting goosebumps during these stories. Look at that. Just probably the fourth or fifth time I've gotten goosebumps.
Just for the fun, I'll pour it on. No, just kidding.
Where do you see your long-term vision? Where do you see it going in the next 5, 10 years, 15 years?
The Beacon of Hope would like to grow, and we'd like to grow in an area that is tragic in our country. The fastest growing segment of women the fastest growing segment of homelessness is women and children. And I come from being in an orphanage the first 6 weeks of my life, being in foster care for the next 15 months, and going home to a single mom that was literally a paycheck away from being homeless for years. And I just can't let that go by. And we have a much larger homeless mothers with children segment in the United States. It's 40% of homeless overall, because most people think, oh, it's just all men.
It's not.
Yeah, no, it's not. The current number is 40%, but their numbers are skyrocketing. A lot of it has to do with affordable housing, and then of course you add in sometimes addiction, sometimes mental health, sometimes both. There's lots of families sleeping on couches, sleeping in spare bedrooms, and sometimes they have to pay a price that's not monetary for staying there, and I can't take that. No. So the reality is we'd like to grow in that area because we know there's not enough beds in this area. So we're planning for the future. We're planning for the future, and if you're talking personally, I can't imagine doing anything else with my life for the rest of my life.
I get that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for your service.
Well, it's nice of you. I
incredible.
appreciate that. People say that, and I'm like, Yeah, but I just love to get up and go there. I don't call it work,
Right.
you know.
Yeah.
So,
Go
yeah,
and-
so it's good.
Go and do what you're passionate about.
And I wouldn't say, like being a resident here, I don't see much homeless. I don't see
Right.
that it is a big deal.
Right.
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 It's not until you kind of dive into things you find out, well, there's people like you working to clean these things up,
Sure.
or
Sure.
help people.
Sure.
Because when you go to the big cities, you see lots of different
Everywhere.
things.
It's
You know?
everywhere. Right. Yeah, we actually have a much smaller problem here on the street than people realize. So because of that, when you see, and there are places around town where it's pretty obvious, there's a few guys and a few girls, a few more people that are living on the street. I can tell you that in one way or another, they choose to do that, whether it's they just like the freedom or they can't follow my rules, whatever the case be. Because we're a high barrier shelter. You have to be sober. You have to be clean. You have to do your detail every day. You being an Army guy, you know exactly what I'm saying.
I know exactly what that is.
I mean, my guys are up at 5:30 every day. They're required to be. They're required to be at 2 chapels a day. They're required, and not everybody will go for that. So, but as far as people visible on the street here in Fort Dodge, it's a much smaller problem that way than people realize.
Yep.
They kind of see a few people and think, oh no, we have a terrible problem. And it's just, it's a problem.
I'd like to tell some of those people, go to Portland for a weekend.
Right.
Just go to Chicago.
Because I went there for a weekend, and
Yeah.
holy cow, it was eye-opening.
Yep, absolutely. Go to
So that
Portland.
sounds like one myth of homelessness. It
Yes.
seems like a big issue, but it's not the issue that it really could be.
Right.
What are some other myths that
Right.
you'd like to kind of dispel?
Boy, that's easy. How much time do we have? First of all, we have never, ever, 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 ever bust anybody in to Fort Dodge, Iowa to be homeless, right? To be at our shelter. Do people come from out of the area? I average 10% of my population, 10% are from out of the area
So
at
4.
any given time.
Right
4.
now, there's 40. That's 4.
Right.
Or
Exactly.
3.9. Did you
Exactly,
say 39?
Yeah.
That
So
0.9 is here somewhere.
3.9 people, and it's never more than that. I don't know why, but it isn't. We do establish a 60-mile radius just because we want to serve our area mostly. People say, well, somebody got on a bus and they dropped them off here to be homeless. We have people that get dropped off. That's not a new thing, but they're not from outside of this area.
Right.
When people get dropped off on our doorstep, it's because somebody doesn't want them, but they're not from out of the area. And our guys, another myth is that our guys roam the streets and, they're rummaging through the dumpsters and they're riding the bicycles down and almost running over people on the sidewalks. And we are very particular about how our guys are when they leave our building. So much so that we've had to ask guys to leave because they didn't act right when they were out, and we found out about it. Those aren't our guys. Our guys get one locker space. That's all they have. Is it a deep and wide locker? Yeah, but it's one locker.
That everything you've owned in that one locker.
Exactly. If guys are coming in, dragging stuff in or whatever, that's not happening at our place. That's not who they are.
Okay.
So no, we don't bring people in. People don't move here. You've heard me say, Todd, if you've ever lived in Fort Dodge, Iowa in January, who in their right mind would move here to be homeless? Nobody, right? So that it just doesn't happen that way.
You have to have a tie to the area of some sort.
Right. There's a reason you're here.
Right.
Yeah.
The rest of the world, it's not like you're advertising to come here. It's, they
Yep.
don't even know what Fort Dodge is. They don't
Right.
even know it's a town.
Right.
They're not
Yep.
going to be here unless there's a tie here of some sort.
Yep. And that happens actually a lot where we have family here and they move here because family says, sure, come on out. And I mean, we have jobs here and we have, I think it's a great place to live.
Mm-hmm.
And it's grown so much.
Then all of a sudden the family doesn't want you there.
Yeah.
Well, now what do you do? So those are probably two of the biggest myths is that guys are running the streets at night or they're doing Our guys are the ones that have to pick up from our thrift store, have to pick up the garbage that people after people rummage through the dumpsters.
Yeah.
We're out there picking it up every day. That's
You
part
told
of
the
their
story of
detail.
another local guy that's like, your guys were rummaging through my garbage again. And they're like,
Yeah.
it wasn't my guys, but we'll send somebody over.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, we'll take care of it because we understand there's an issue, and
Yep.
that's what we're here
Yep.
to help.
Yep.
To support our community.
Right. Right.
What about a myth about other police officers from other communities just dropping people off?
Oh, that's 100% true.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
That's not a myth.
That's not a myth.
sorry, I said it that way just for the fun of it.
Yeah, I love that.
We have a good relationship with Pocahontas County, Humboldt County, Hamilton County. We have a good relationship. We're the only homeless center in 60 miles, right? So if a guy gets out of jail, and we vet them before they come to us, if the police call, if the chief of police in Pocahontas calls me, whose wife, by the way, is a social worker, so she knows people, if he calls me and says, hey, I've got a guy, he's been with us for a week, here's what he did, and most of the time it's a petty drug charge, but he's got no place to go because the family booted him out, and we found him on the street. And we found him on the street, and he had something in his pocket, so he went to jail for a week because he didn't have any money to pay the fine, and he's got nowhere else to go. Well, if our retail circle is 60 miles, then I ought to be able to serve people within 60 miles. So, yes, it is true. However, it is
It's not
we
malicious.
are. No, not at all. Not at all. No, they know what they're doing when they drop them off. And the conversations are they always call first. Because we've said no. Hey, you didn't call. I don't have room for him, or this is beyond what we're going to deal with. Right. You're going to have to take it back.
This is too much.
Yep, we've done that before. But most of the time, it's guys that just have petty charges, and it's really not a big deal, So, and it doesn't happen that often.
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, fun story. Favorite local spot in town?
Well, I would have said Shiny Top.
Don't want my head to get big. It's already big.
Well, I really like Nate, but
I don't blame you.
no, probably rides. That's
Yeah.
probably if we're out now. When my daughter from Chicago comes home, if she's home for a weekend, I'm in your place twice.
Yeah.
So
And Corey and Nikki do a good job at rides.
they do.
I really like them both.
Fantastic job. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good burgers.
Yep.
And then last question, and one book or verse that you have often returned to when you need inspiration or to reset.
Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding, but acknowledge him in all your ways, and he will make straight your path. I don't have to do it all myself.
I love it.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, you give me the chills a
very
lot, and you
good.
made me cry once. So I apprate having time with you today, Brian.
And
It's
just
always
so
a pleasure.
everybody knows, I never touched him. So just saying.
He could beat me up still.
The opportunity, but I can't catch you. That's the problem. No, the opportunity to do this and to share I really, really appreciate that.
I can't wait for the
you.
whole
And we
community to
appreciate
hear
what you
about
do
it.
for the community.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
It means a lot.
Awesome.
Now, share
Yeah.
right here.
the
Like
link.
and share the link.
Ring that bell, whatever you call it.
Yep.
Awesome.
You're getting closer to 500,000 views.
These guys
There
aren't
you go.
pointing to
1,000
anything, by the
likes.
We don't know where the bell is. So
Oh,
we have
okay.
to
All right. I get it.
He'll move the screen around.
There you go.
Awesome. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you very much.
That's a wrap at today's episode of Talk Fort Dodge.
Stay connected with us on social media and join us next time as we continue exploring Fort Dodge's stories through the lens of two lifelong Dodgers. I'm Jeremiahjcondon.
And I'm Todd McCubbin, and this is Talk Fort Dodge.
This podcast is produced by Spin Market and Digital. Located in Fort Dodge, Iowa, Spin Market's highly skilled team can help you increase your market by updating your website, improving SEO, designing advertisements, and producing podcasts that will grab the attention of your market. Contact Spin Market today for all your digital marketing needs at digitalagent@spinmarket.com or call us at 515-302-9999. 8026. And to learn more, visit our website at www.spinmarket.com. That's digital agent at spinmarket.com or 515-302-8026. Or visit our website at www.spinmarket.com.